So thank you. So we're starting with chapter 22, Nectar of Devotion. Okay, go ahead, Prabhu. Oh, Radha Prabhu, you are also volunteering to read.
I can.
Go ahead, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. 31. Heroic. Qualities of Krishna further explained. So, a person who is very enthusiastic in military activities and expert in releasing different kinds of weapons is called heroic. Regarding Krishna's heroism in fighting, there is the following statement: My dear killer of the enemy, just as the elephant while taking bath in the lake destroys all the lotus stems within the water by swinging its trunk, so simply by moving your arms, which are compared to the trunks of elephants, you have killed so many lotus-like enemies. Regarding Krishna's expertise in releasing weapons, when Jarasandh and 13 divisions of soldiers attacked Krishna's army, they were unable to hurt even one soldier on the side of Krishna. This was due to Krishna's expert military training. This is unique in the history of military art.
Yeah, thank you, bro. So, as I said, we have done 30 qualities out of total 64. So today we're starting with number 31. And we're talking about the heroism that Krishna showed in so many different battles, not just armies, but also one-on-one when he killed, excuse me, killed many demons throughout his stay in Vrindavan, starting at the age of 6 when he killed Putana. So age of 6 days, sorry, age of 6 days when he killed Putana. Now, one of the things that Srila Prabhupada mentioned about Krishna, referring to a verse in Shvetashvatar Upanishad, which says, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, Natasya samo abhyatakash darshate, parasa shakti vividhav shruyate, swabhaviki jnana bal kriyacha. So he's commenting on the last line of this verse. He says, swabhaviki jnana bal. The Krishna just naturally, just automatically knows what's the right thing to do. And so this was in reference to him killing the different demons. And so, for example, if you start with Putna, she offered her breast and just he used that to kill her. Arishtasur came in the form of a bull and he wanted to use his horns. So he used his horns to throw him away and then throw him down, smash him on the ground. And using the same horns, he basically smashed him on the ground, just like a rug. Some people do when they're washing the rug. So many examples. The horse, Keshasura, very proud of his mouth and used the haying sound. And so he put his hand in the mouth. Python likes to swallow people. So he went and for a moment looked like he got swallowed, but then he increased his size and choked him. Anyway, point that Srila Prabhupada was making was that he knows what to do. And just automatically, it doesn't have to think about it, doesn't have to consult any manuals or get some advice. He just knows. And so that's part of heroism also. Similarly, when he was helping Arjun in the Battle of Kurukshetra, he knew how to do it, what to do, including many times saving Arjun's life. For example, one time when Arjun was fighting with Karna shot an arrow, which is known as a Naga Astra. And actually, Takshak was on the top of the arrow that was shot by Karna, and that arrow never misses. So it was shot towards Arjun, and Krishna saw it, Arjun saw it, and Arjun couldn't do anything about it. So Krishna simply pressed with his thumb, and the whole chariot went underground. And the arrow hit the crown of Arjun before he could realize what's going on. So anyway, number of stories like that to illustrate the point that he just knows what to do, and that's part of his heroism. Just one last example I want to give is Jarasandh. As you had Bhima fighting with Jarasandh, Krishna knew how to kill Jarasandh. So he took a straw and bifurcated it in two parts. So Bhima understood, and he smashed Jarasandha on the ground, put one leg on Jarasandha's one leg, and literally tore him apart in two parts, and threw both parts away. But one of the benedictions he had was that if he's torn apart, Jarasandha will join again. So he joined again and started fighting. It happened 2 or 3 times. Bhima was getting very upset and frustrated. So the Krishna went back again in front of him, bifurcated straw, and then threw the two parts in opposite sides. So Bhima understood again. This time he tore Jarasandha apart. He threw the two parts on opposite sides. So the right part went left side, left part went right side, and now there was no way for Jarasandha to join again. So again, many examples of Krishna's heroism. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's read number 32. Anybody
Hare
else?
Krishna Prabhu. I can read.
Please do it.
Hare Krishna. 32. Compassionate. A person who is unable to bear another's distress is called compassionate. Krishna's compassion for distressed persons was exhibited when he released all of the kings imprisoned by Magadendra. While dying, grandfather Bhishma prayed to Krishna and described him as a sun which eradicated darkness. The kings imprisoned by Magadendra were put into dark cells, and when Krishna appeared there, the darkness immediately disappeared, just as if sun had risen. In other words, although Magadendra was able to imprison so many kings, upon the appearance of Krishna, they were all released. Krishna released the kings out of his sincere compassion for them. Krishna's compassion was also exhibited when grandfather Bhishma was lying on the bed of arrows, which had been shot through his body. While lying in this position, Bhishma was very anxious to see Krishna, and thus Krishna appeared there. Upon seeing the pitiable condition of Bhishma, Krishna began speaking with tears in his eyes. Not only he was shedding tears, but he also forgot himself in his compassion. Therefore, instead of offering obeisances to Krishna directly, devotees offer obeisances to his compassionate nature. Actually, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is very difficult to approach him. But the devotees, taking advantage of his compassionate nature, which is represented by Radharani, always pray to Radharani for Krishna's compassion. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. So another very wonderful quality of compassion. Just imagine if Krishna did not have any compassion, what would happen to us? Here we are in absolute miserable condition in the material world, rebelling against Krishna, doing all sorts of nonsense, insisting on turning us away from Krishna. Krishna cares so much, he tries to do anything and everything possible for us. So, for example, an example of his compassion is that he comes down to the material world as one or the other incarnation. There are billions and trillions of incarnations of Krishna. We know about every few of them. But each time, the real reason for Krishna's appearance or Krishna's incarnation's appearance is his compassion towards the other living entities. Either he's trying to attract devotees or he's trying to attract non-devotees by using different methods. So, for example, with devotees, pure devotees especially, he has his interactions like he did in Vrindavan, very loving, sweet exchanges in 5 different mellows, as you all know. But even non-devotees are attracted to him because of one or the other of his 6 opulences. So, for example, one of the opulences is Virya, which is his strength. And he shows his strength by lifting the Govardhan hill as Krishna himself, or shows his strength as Lord Nrsimhadev by killing Hiranyakashipu, as Varahadev by killing Hiranyaksha. And just to give you an idea, because sometimes we miss the point. One time, Ravana had gone to Bali Maharaj to ask for assistance in his fight against Lord Ram. And of course, Bali Maharaj was not going to have anything to do with that. But he said, I want to give you a gift. And it took him someplace where he showed a mountain of gold, a big mountain. And he said, Ravan, just lift it and take it with you. So Ravan tried to lift it. He could not even lift that mountain. And Bali Maharaj said, do you know what this mountain is? He says, no. And he said, this is one of the earrings of Hiranyaksha. So you can imagine that mountain that Ravan could not lift. And Ravan was so strong, at one time he almost lifted Kailash mountain, Kailash Parvat. Except that Lord Shiva was there, so he pressed it with his toe and he could lift it, but he could have. So a strong person like that could not lift a mountain, which was simply one earring in the ear of Hiranyaksha. And Lord Varahadev killed him. So just to give you an idea, how compassionate Krishna is, that with all that, he's coming just to give us the safer environment away from these demons who are harassing the Brahmins and everybody else. Similarly, he takes many other incarnations just to come and attract the non-devotees and also devotees by his chivalry. He takes his knowledge. So, for example, Lord Chaitanya was so knowledgeable that even at the age of 11, he could defeat anyone in Shastras, in debate, including Kashmiri Pandit, Digvijay Kashmiri Pandit, who had the reputation of winning anyone and everyone in the whole of the country. You take another example, beauty. I mean, who could be more beautiful than Lord Krishna? So anyway, my point is that one way or the other, Krishna is trying to attract the residents of the material world just because he's so compassionate towards them. He wants them back to the spiritual world because here they are suffering. And sometimes when incarnations is not enough, he comes down as the scriptures to instruct people so they can study the scriptures and become attracted to him and go back up to Godhead. When that's not enough, he sends his representatives, like all the acharyas are in our disciplic succession, including Srila Prabhupada, who are here. They come here, take the trouble of coming from the spiritual world to the material world, go through all sorts of sufferings, just so they can help us go back home, back to Godhead. And when that's not enough, he stands in every temple. Like in India, there's a temple in every street corner, actually. And he stands there in Archa Vigraha form, just waiting for somebody to come and benefit by the presence and hopefully some service to the deity and go back home, back to Godhead. So my point is that he's showing his compassion every which way we can imagine. All we have to do is take advantage of it, and of course, most of us don't. But his compassionate nature doesn't change. We offend him. We do so many offenses at the temple, in deity worship, against the holy name. But he says, it's okay. You can come back. You can come back as servant. I was telling another day somebody that if we were half as incompetent in our professional job as we are in serving Krishna, we would be fired from our professional job within half an hour. But Krishna says, no, it's okay. Keep coming back. 1 time, 2 times, 100 times, 200 times, 500 times. He says, okay, I know you're making the mistakes. I know you're not doing it right, but keep coming back anyway. That is his compassion. Any questions or comments? Okay. Everyone can hear me, right?
Yes.
When I hear
Just
quiet, then I
want
won't.
to add, Prabhu, in Chaitanya Charitamrita also mentioned that Krishna just simply ignores the faults in the devotees. Like
That's
he
right.
just looks at the good things and simply ignores the fault.
That's right.
That's another quality. I think that's how he's so compassionate that he forgives again and again and again. He doesn't take any for it.
That's right.
Knows
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
That's right. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Okay. Who would like to read the next one?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please do, yeah.
A person who 33, respectful. A person who shows adequate respect to a spiritual master, a Brahman, and an old person is to be understood as being respectful. When superior person assembled before Krishna, Krishna first of all offered respect to his spiritual master, then to his father, and then to his elder brother Balaram. In this way, Lord Krishna, the lotus-eyed, was completely happy and pure at heart in all of his dealings.
Right. So another wonderful quality that's almost disappeared from this world now. There's not a lot of respect for elders anymore. Certainly, there's no respect for teachers. And I remember from our university days, the students were so disrespectful of the teachers. Unbelievable. But not Lord Krishna. I mean, basically, for example, he went to his teacher, Sandipani Muni, and said, "What can I do for you?" Knowing who Krishna was, Sandipani Muni did not want to ask for something ordinary. What did he ask for? Anybody? You're on mute, man.
To get his
Hare
son back.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandatanam, his son. He
Yes.
asked for his
Yeah.
son.
So, and Krishna took so much trouble. First, he went and killed the Panchajanya demon. And then, upon being informed, he went to Yamaraj and got the son back. Similarly, how respectful he was to Mother Kunti, his aunt. As soon as he saw her in front of everybody, he offered her obeisances. He would bring the sandals of his father upon his head, and deliver them. Mother Yashoda, he may have been a naughty boy, but so respectful and, appropriately scared of her anger as well. And so, so many examples where he would show Bhishma Pitama, so respectful. Not just that. Karna, for example, I'll give you another example. When Bhishma Pitama was lying on the bed of arrows, and before the war is over, so everybody was used to go and visit Bhishma Pitama at night after the whole day of fighting. And, both from the Kaurava side and Pandava side, people would go and offer their respects to Bhishma Pitama. And Arjuna was walking with Krishna to Bhishma Pitama, and he saw Karna coming as well. So in his anger, Arjuna said, "Why is this rascal coming?" or something like that, some bad language. And Krishna chastised him right there. He said, "Don't say that. You don't know who he is." And so be respectful to him, knowing that Karna is the older brother of Arjuna. He was even teaching him to be respectful. How respectful he was to Yudhishthira. Every time he saw Yudhishthira, what's the first thing he did? He touched his feet. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, touching the feet of his devotee. But every time, always very respectful, never argued with Yudhishthira. Whatever Yudhishthira says, goes because he's older brother. Same thing with Bhima, he was older brother. Right? So very, very respectful. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, let's go to the next one.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please do.
34th quality is gentle. Any person who neither becomes impudent or exhibits a puffed up nature is called gentle. The example of Krishna's gentle behavior was manifested when he was coming to the arena of the Rajasuya sacrifice arranged by Maharaja Yudhishthira, Krishna's older cousin. Maharaja Yudhishthira knew that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was attempting to get down from his chariot to receive Krishna. But before Yudhishthira could get down, Lord Krishna got down from his own chariot and immediately fell at the feet of the king. Even though Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he never forgot to show social etiquettes in his dealings.
Right. So imagine, well, before I go there, in today's world, in the material world, anybody who has even a small amount of power gets so puffed up. And we can see it in the behavior of even our devotee community. Anybody who's become a manager or some kind of a leader or whatever, they get so puffed up and they start treating people badly and, I'm this and you're nothing and all this kind of nonsense behavior that goes on. And in the professional world, the same thing, I'm your manager, therefore you listen to me, or this or that. Or we see this all the time, but not Krishna. We don't have one single example of Krishna acting in a puffed up manner when he has all the power. He's the most beautiful, he's the strongest, he's the wisest, and he's the most renounced, and he's the most famous. But no bragging, no puffed up. Lord Ram, same way. I mean, imagine how brave he had to be, how strong he had to be to kill someone like Ram. Can you excuse me for just 1 second, please? Sorry. So, I mean, again, he was always so polite. Even to Mother Kaikei, he was so polite. To Jamwan, he was so polite and so gentle. So my point is that that's one of the qualities of Krishna, that despite all the power, despite all the supremacy, you never see anything that shows a puffed up behavior on his part. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's go to the next one.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please go ahead.
35. Liberal. Any person who is by his natural behavior very mild is called liberal. A statement by Uddhava after the Samyantaka jewel plundering confirms that Krishna is so kind and favorable that if a servitor is accused even of great offenses, Krishna does not take this into consideration. He simply considers the service that is rendered by his devotee.
Yeah, what an important point. We were talking about the offenses we make, but Krishna simply ignores it. Another example is that we in the material world, when we deal with other people, we judge them by their actions, right? What did you say? What did you do? But Krishna looks at the intention. He's judging us by our intention. And even if the behavior is not right, even if the behavior is not appropriate, even if the behavior is not particularly correct, he ignores all that. So what was the intention? If the intention was good, he's happily accepting whatever service he's providing. And we can do the smallest amount of service and he gives us so much credit. We might just cook him for one day, cook for him one day. We might clean the garbage one day, whatever, the smallest amount. And he appreciates it so much. The famous story about Draupadi, when she noticed that Krishna had cut his finger, she ripped her sari off and wrapped it around the finger that was cut. As a result of that, he said, I'm obliged to you, I'm indebted to you, and supplied, he opened the whole sari bhandar for her when Dushasana was trying to strip her. So, I mean, that's the kind of person Krishna is, so liberal in that sense. Okay. Next one.
I can read, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
36. Shy. A person who sometimes exhibits humility and bashfulness is called shy. As described in the Lalita Madhava, Krishna's shyness was manifested when he lifted Govardhana hill by the little finger of his left hand. All of the gopis were observing Krishna's wonderful achievement, and Krishna was also smiling at seeing the gopis. When Krishna's glance went over the breast of the gopis, his hand began to shake, and upon seeing his hand shake, all the cowherdsmen underneath the hill became a little disturbed. Then there was a tumultuous roaring sound, and they all began to pray to Krishna for safety. At this time, Lord Balarama was smiling, thinking that these cowherd men had been frightened by the shaking of Govardhana hill. But seeing Balarama smile, Krishna thought that Balarama had understood his mind in observing the breasts of the gopis, and he immediately became bashful.
So I think it's such a beautiful pastime. But it's been explained, so I won't go to the details. But as Krishna was lifting the hill, the gopis came, natural attraction for them, certainly with Radharani, and so he was, admiring their beauty, and then he noticed that Balaram is smiling, and he understood that Balaram has understood what's in my mind or on my mind, and what I'm thinking. And just thinking that's my older brother, he now understands the condition of my heart, and he felt so shy. He was very, very embarrassed that Lord Balaram noticed what he was doing. So that's an example of the shy nature of Lord Balaram, Lord Krishna. Similarly, all his pastimes with the gopis were at night. Very little at daytime with the gopis. So he'll basically go to sleep, or at least Mother Yashoda thought he went to sleep. But as soon as everybody else in the house went to sleep, he'd jump out of the window of his bedroom and go for his nocturnal pastimes, and come back before the sun rose to his bed. And Mother Yashoda would come and wake him up and say, "Okay, Lalla, time to wake up." And as if he had been sleeping all this time, he'll wake up. So that's the point, that very shy, despite having all these powers, all these skills, all these talents, but very, very shy. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's move to the next one then.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Protector of surrendered souls. Krishna is the protector of all surrendered souls. Some enemy of Krishna's was enlivened with the thought that he did not fear Krishna, because if he simply surrendered unto him, Krishna would give him all protection. Krishna is sometimes compared to the moon, which does not hesitate to distribute its soothing rays, even on the houses of the Chandalas and other untouchables.
Yeah. So, the verse in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, it says, "Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshu asti na priya. Ye bhajanti tu mam bhakta maite teshu chapyaham." So Krishna is equal to everyone. Equal in the sense of being equitable, which means as you deserve. And the example here being given is the moon, which shines its cooling lights on anywhere, and the example here says even the house of Chandalas or untouchables, he doesn't discriminate. Similarly, another example is given by for the clouds. Clouds do not discriminate whether they are raining on the barren land or desert, or a fertile land, or even the ocean, which already has all the water, and that's where the cloud got the water from. But cloud is not discriminating. So similarly, Krishna is not discriminating. Anyone who surrenders, Krishna will protect. But one exception. Who can tell me what the exception is? And tell me the corresponding story. There's one exception in the Bhagavatam when somebody surrendered to him and said, "I have surrendered, you protect me." And he said, "Nope."
Yeah, Ambarish Maharaj wale case
Yeah,
mein
very good.
Durvasa Muni.
Very good. Yes, very good. So Durvasa Muni came and said, "You said, I surrender, you protect. So now I surrender, you protect." And Vishnu said, not so fast. And then he says a very wonderful verse, which is, "Aham bhakta paradhino, nahi swatantra ivduja, sadhubhir grasta hridayo, bhaktebhyo bhakta vatsala." He says, I am totally under the control of my devotees. They have captured me in their heart like a bird in a cage, so I have no freedom. So therefore, my dear Durvasa, you go back to the devotee of mine that you have offended, and you apologize to him, and that's your only salvation. So he refused to protect a person who has offended his pure devotee. Other than that, Krishna is protecting anyone who's surrendering to Lord Krishna, and protecting in more ways than one. So, for example, Prahlad Maharaj. Who was protecting Prahlad Maharaj before Lord Nrsimhadev appeared? Like, think about it. How many things had been done to Prahlad Maharaj before Lord Nrsimhadev appeared? He had been thrown from top of a mountain. He had been stomped by elephants. He had been pierced by tridents and swords and spears. He had been burnt in fire. He had been thrown in boiling oil. He had been, what else? What else?
He was poisoned.
Poisoned, thank you. He was poisoned. So all these things had been done to him. But he was saved every time. So who was saving him? Who was protecting him? Noticing they wasn't there at that time.
Krishna.
Well, how Krishna wasn't there?
Like his devotion, his mind was with Krishna.
Fine, but who was protecting him?
Krishna's name?
Yes, Radhan Prabhu, thank you. The holy name of Krishna was protecting him.
Yeah.
So my point is that not just Krishna, his holy name being non-different from him is also protecting us.
Yep.
So for all of us who are chanting the holy name of Krishna properly, we are all protected by the holy name. So we don't have to wait for Krishna to appear directly. He's appearing as his name. Kali Kale Naam Rupe Krishna Avatar. In the age of Kali, Krishna appears as his holy name. But we know from the story of Prahlad Maharaj, even Satyug, he appeared as his holy name because he's protecting him. Even before Lord Nrsimhadev physically manifested himself. Okay? Any questions or comments? Okay, let's go to the next one.
Hmm. 38, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Any person
Sorry, go ahead.
Any person who is always joyful and untouched by any distress is called happy. As far as Krishna's enjoyment is concerned, it is stated that the ornaments that decorated the bodies of Krishna and his queens were beyond the dreams of Kuvera, the treasurer of heavenly kingdom. The constant dancing before the doors of Krishna's palaces was not to be imagined even by the demigods in the heavenly kingdom. In the heavenly kingdom, Indra always sees the dancing of the society girls. But even Indra could not imagine how beautiful were the dances being performed at the gates of Krishna's palaces. Gauri means white woman, and Lord Shiva's wife is called Gauri. The beautiful woman residing within the palaces of Krishna was so much whiter than Gauri that they were compared to the moonshine and they were constantly visible to Krishna. Therefore, no one can be enjoying more than Krishna. The conception of enjoyment is beautiful woman, ornament, and riches. And all of these were fabulously present in the palaces of Krishna, defeating even the imagination of Kuvera, Lord Indra, or Lord Shiva. Not even a slight distress can touch Krishna. Once some of the gopis went to the place where the Brahmins were performing sacrifices and said, "Dear wives of Brahmins, you must know that not even a slight smell of distress can touch Krishna. He knows no laws. He knows no defamation. He has no fear. He has no anxiety and he does not know calamity. He is simply encircled by the dancers of Raja and is enjoying their company in the Rasa dance."
Right. Like in the depiction of God in some religions, it shows God as an old man, and kind of stressed. But not our Krishna. You'll never see a picture of Krishna where he's not smiling, or he's frowning, or looking sad, or anything like that. And he's known as Rasika Shekhar, which means he's there to enjoy the different mellows with his devotees. The actual reason for his own appearance, I'm talking about Lord Krishna himself now, not incarnation. He says that I'm not coming to the material world to kill the demons, nor am I coming to protect my devotees, nor am I coming to reestablish the religious principles. For that, my incarnations are sufficient. As far as killing the demons is concerned, I don't even need to come down as an incarnation because I'm residing in their heart as Paramatma. Paramatma, as you know, is 8 inches long, right in the heart. All I have to do is extend my hand and turn the valve off. And that's it, heart attack, demon gone. You go even one step before that. I'm the one who created the demons. If I just had to kill them, I don't have to create them. So he says, that's not the reason. That's not what I'm coming. My holy name can protect my devotees. I don't have to come to protect my devotees. Similarly, I can send my representatives, like Srila Prabhupada, to reestablish the religious principles. I don't have to come for that. Personally, I'm coming only to have, and this my words, good time with my pure devotees. That's the only reason. I'm coming there to interact with my pure devotees who don't even know that I'm Supreme Personality of Godhead. He says, I don't even particularly enjoy dealing with my pure devotees who serve me in the mood of awe and reverence, who understand my majesty, who know I'm Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't enjoy interaction with them. It's too formal and just no fun. It is when my devotees don't know I'm God and they consider themselves either equal to me or superior to me, then it's fun. Then I take the name Ram, not Lord Ramchandra. Ram as Krishna. The real meaning of the word Ram is the one who enjoys, one who takes pleasure. Radhika Raman, the one who's enjoying with Radharani. So that Ram. He says, I am that Ram. I'm going there to enjoy with my pure devotees, whether they're gopis, Radharani, or my mother Yashoda, my father Nanda Maharaj, or my friends Subal and Madhumangal and Shidama and all those boys who fight with me, who tease me, who laugh at me, who make fun of me, they complain against me, they throw me out of the games, they won't let me play with them. That's what I enjoy, and that's why I'm coming. Otherwise, I'm sitting nicely in Golok Vrindavan, having a great time. There's no misery, there's no demons attacking me. Why do I want to go down otherwise? But he does to have that good time with his. So he's always happy in that sense, that he's happily enjoying, his time with his devotees for whom he comes. He's not coming for any other reason. As far as beautiful women is concerned, it is said that if you take the most beautiful woman on earth, the Apsaras, the heavenly damsels, are 1,000,000 times more beautiful than the most beautiful woman on earth. The Lakshmis are 1,000,000 times more beautiful than the Apsaras. The Gopis are 1,000,000 times more beautiful than any Lakshmi you can imagine. And Radharani is 1,000,000 times more beautiful than the Gopis. So you can imagine the beauty of Radharani. And she's the one he's enjoying with. And he's very happy doing that. They fight, they tease each other, and they have a great time together loving each other. Okay? So Krishna is a very happy person. As they say, happy, happy, happy. Okay? Any questions or comments?
Okay, I have a question.
Who's the most beautiful woman?
जी
Who's the most beautiful woman on earth?
नहीं नहीं ऐसे वाला क्वेश्चन नहीं. The question is, जो यहाँ पर अभी डिस्क्राइब किया गया है, वो हम अभी are we talking about the opulence in Dwarka?
Well, one of the examples given is the opulence in Dwarka. So yes, but I was talking about all the other things. But
Yes.
it's not the same thing. He's being served by these queens who love him like anything, but all the dancing and the fun that's going on, the comments in the paragraph was that the demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, can't even imagine, having that in their place. So that's how much better it is. And Krishna's feeling happy with that.
So, Prabhuji, is there opulence in the Golok Vrindavan Dham too, or like the Aishwarya Bhav exists there too, or
in Golok Vrindavan Dham, there's no Aishwarya Bhav. That doesn't mean the Aishwarya is not there, but Aishwarya Bhav is not there. Let me explain. Go back to Vrindavan. Nanda Maharaj was a king of the cowherd men, right? The cowherd community, I should say. So he had all the opulence you can imagine: the servants, the cows, palaces, all those kind of things. The opulence of Golok Vrindavan has been described by Lord Brahma in Brahma Samhita. His Chintamani Prakar Sadmash Kalpan Vakshalata Viteshu, which means everything is made of Chintamani stones, which is, the most beautiful, the most opulent stones you can imagine. The buildings, the pillars, the floor, all that. And then Kalpan Vakshalata Viteshu, which just means that all the trees are desired trees, which means you can ask for anything. And we can't get more opulent than that. So that's all there, but nobody cares. Everyone is focused on serving Krishna. So that feeling is missing. However, I read somewhere that in Golok Vrindavan Dham, the spiritual world, there's still a very slight sense that Krishna is special. But when it comes to Bhaumi Vrindavan, in the material world, even that sense is gone. And he says, therefore, I have a better time in Bhaumi Vrindavan than in Golok Vrindavan. That's how Krishna thinks. Right? So, you could go on and on, just talking about how Krishna thinks, how Krishna feels, what he really enjoys. It's so beautiful. So some of the pastimes, I think one of my favorite pastimes that I'm sure I've told you before, where Krishna is wrestling with the other boys and he loses and he does not want to follow the rule, right? I told you that story. They got thrown out of the game. Go sit under that tree and don't come back. And Krishna was convinced that sooner or later they'll call me. But they didn't. Finally, Krishna was sitting there thinking, did I leave Golok Vrindavan Dham for this? And then when nobody called him after a long time, he came back. He was crying. He said, okay, I'm sorry, take me back. But that's pleasure for Krishna. He said, this is what I don't have. I can't eat soil in Golok Vrindavan Dham. I can't crawl on my knees, my hands and knees. I can't act scared when there's thunder in the cloud and go hug my mother. I'm missing all that because in Golok Vrindavan, how old am I? Krishna says, how old is Krishna in Golok Vrindavan eternally?
16.
Yeah, just under 16. Just under 16. So they're known as Nitya Kishore Kishori. Eternally, they are Kishore and Kishori. Just under 16. So there's no 1-year-old Krishna there. There's no Krishna crawling on his knees and hands. There's no Krishna eating mud. Those pastimes are only available in Bhumi Vrindavan. So he says, I like it better. That's a very different thought process. Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's move to the next one. 39. Anybody who's awake can do this. This is called emotional blackmail.
nobody is doing
Go ahead. If you've done it before, even then, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Well-wisher of his devotees. It is said of Krishna devotee that if they offer even a little water or a tulsi leaf in devotion to Lord Vishnu is so kind that he will sell himself to them. Krishna favoritism towards his devotees is is exhibited in his fights with Bhishma. When grandfather Bhishma was lying at the point of the death on the bed of arrows, Krishna was present before him. The Bhishma was remembering how Krishna had been kind to him on the battlefield. Krishna had promised that in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he would not even touch a weapon to help either side. He would remain neutral. Although Krishna was Arjun's charioteer, he had promised that he would not help Arjun by using any weapons. But one day, Bhishma, in order to nullify Krishna's promise, exhibited his fighting spirit so magnificently against Arjun that Krishna was obliged to get down from his chariot. Taking up a broken chariot wheel, he ran towards grandfather Bhishma as a lion runs towards an elephant to kill it. Grandfather Bhishma remembered this scene and he later praised Krishna for his glorious favoritism towards his devotees. Arjun, even at the risk of breaking his own promise.
Yeah, wonderful, isn't it? So the paragraph begins with description of how Krishna feels obliged. A devotee who even offers just tulsi and water to him. And there's a very famous personality who did that by chanting this mantra that describes this point. He used to chant tulsi dal matren jalas chulukenva vikrinitam swayam atmanam bhakta bhakta vatsalaya. Now, who knows this story? This particular devotee was chanting this mantra and offering tulsi and water to Shaligram to call Krishna. And Krishna came.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Sorry?
Is it Advaitacharya ji?
Very good, Prabhuji. Thank you. So Advaitacharya was the one who called Lord Chaitanya. And he used to offer tulsi and Ganges water to Shaligram Shila. Has anybody seen that Shaligram Shila, by the way? That's still there. Oh, Nana, you've seen it. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so if you go to Mayapur next time, make sure that you take a look. So it's still there. And anyway, the point is, if the verse says that Krishna will sell himself to somebody who simply offers tulsi leaf and Ganges water every day to the Shaligram Shila. Okay, so that's how much he favors his devotees. And the next example is given of Bhishma Dev. The full story is that Duryodhan one day got very, very angry at Bhishma Pitama and accused him of favoring the Pandavas. He says, unless you are favoring them, there's no way on earth that at least one of them would not be dead by now. So you are my general, why are you favoring my enemy? You know, and as you know, that on the day of the war, before it started, Yudhishthir came down from his chariot, went to Bhishma Pitama and offered his obeisances. And as soon as he did that, Bhishma Pitama said, Vijayi Bhava, you be the victorious. And Duryodhana said, what are you doing? I said, well, he came to offer me obeisances, I have to bless him. So anyway, so that was in Duryodhana's mind. So when after many days, I think it was almost 9 days by then, none of the Pandavas was killed. So Duryodhana went in very great anger and accused Bhishma Pitama of being favorable, of favoring Pandavas, and really chastised his own grandfather, his own general, a lot. So Bhishma Pitama got really angry. Fine, I'll do something about this. And he made 5 arrows, very special arrows. He said, I'm going to use them in the morning and I'll kill at least one, if not all the 5 Pandavas. And those arrows were like impenetrable, no way they could fail. Well, Krishna has one other quality that we have talked about. He is sarvasachaham hridisannivishto. What does that mean? I'm residing in the heart of everyone. Therefore, I know what anybody is thinking or doing. So he called Arjun and said, you go and steal those arrows. So Arjun went and offered his obeisances, talked to Bhishma Pitama for a while, and on his way back, he did some shoplifting and took all those 5 arrows with him. In the morning, when Bhishma got ready for the battle, he noticed that the arrows were gone. So he knew. So that's when he said, you know what? I know Krishna is doing this. No way Arjuna would know otherwise. So I'm also going to test Krishna and let the world know what he will not do for his devotee. So that's when he fought with Arjuna in such a way that it was very clear that any moment now Arjuna is going to die. And that's when Krishna jumped from the chariot, forgetting his promise to not bear arms. Bhagavatam describes that he jumped and was in such a hurry, he picked up a wheel and the upper cloth fell on the ground. He was running towards Bhishma to kill him with that wheel. So, of course, Arjuna saw that. He remembered Krishna's promise. So he jumped from the chariot also and ran after Krishna, grabbed his legs, lotus feet, and asked him to please not do that. Remember his promise to not fight, not to bear any weapons. So Krishna said, okay, fine, I remember now, but he was so disgusted, he threw the wheel away. Does anybody know where that wheel landed? I think
Ek chakra.
Ek chakra, that's correct.
Ek chakra.
Ek chakra. So that's where it landed, which is quite far from Kurukshetra. Anyway, but Krishna being the strongest, that's easy for him to do. Anyway, so the point of the story is that what Krishna will not do to protect his devotee, including breaking his own promise, because he's such a well-wisher of the devotees. And knowing this, in 931, Bhagavad Gita 931, we know what does he say? Kaunte pratijane name bhakta punashati. He didn't say it himself. Like I think, and I always forget this number, but I think out of the 700 verses, Krishna speaks 580 of those. I could be off by a couple here and there, but somewhere around 580 verses. But he did not say this verse. I tell you, my devotee will never perish. He said, Arjuna, you tell him. And what was in his mind was that I know I have broken my word sometimes, but my devotee never breaks his words. So people will believe my devotee more than they believe me. Just Kaunte, Arjuna, you declare, my devotee will never perish. But before that, in the 5th chapter, text 29, who remembers 529?
Bhoktaram
Yes,
yagna
go ahead.
tapasam.
Say it, yeah.
Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati.
Yeah, you sing it so much better than I would. So thank you. So, Surhadam Sarvabhutanam, what does it mean? Surhadam, what does Surhadam mean? Literally.
Well-wisher of everyone.
Yeah, that's the implied meaning. What's the literal meaning? Like Su, what does Su mean?
Good.
Good. Hridam means?
Hriday, heart.
So I have nothing but good things in my heart for you. That's the literal meaning. That translates into well-wisher. Like Krishna's in his heart, he just wants nothing but good things for his devotees. Hence, he's the well-wisher. So he's declaring himself, I'm the well-wisher, I'm the best friend of my devotees. Actually, for everyone, all the living entities. So therefore, whatever he does, although sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but whatever he's doing is for our good. But we are so egotistical. We are only looking at things from our perspective, from our interest in the short term. We cannot see the long term. We certainly cannot see the next birth or birth after that, and we don't know anything about the past. And so we're only looking at what's good for me in the short term. And this is why when Arjuna, in chapter 2, text 7, after being chastised by Lord Krishna for having gobar in his brain, literally cow dung in his brain, he says, Karpana dosho aprasa bhava pachami tam dharma samud cheta yat shreya shyanishitam bhutan me shishasteham shadimam tam prapanna. So shreya, he says, yat shreya, whatever you think is good for me in the long term, as opposed to priya, which is good for me in the short term. We all want priya. And when we don't get priya, we get upset with Krishna. But Krishna wants to give us shreya, what's good for us in the long term. Arjuna, being a self-realized person, understood that already. So he said, Whatever you think is good for me in the long term, which means what's good for my soul. Just give me that. So his rhythm in that sense was good for our soul, but we want him to be good for our body. And that's where the incompatibility arises. And sometimes we get very upset with Krishna. Why did Krishna do this to me? I do so much service. I chant 32 rounds every day for the last 30 years. And I do so much service in the temple. Why did Krishna do it to me? Because we're thinking Priya was good for my body, was good for my senses, was good for my in the short term. But Krishna said, no, your body's, who cares about your body? It's nothing, it's nashwar, it's short term, it's destructible. So don't worry about that, it's temporary. Worry about who you are. So what's good for you doesn't mean what's good for your body. It's like, I think we discussed this before many months ago. When somebody says, your soul is going to go there or whatever, what's wrong with that statement? What's wrong with that statement? It says, your soul will go there.
Because we are souls.
Exactly. There's no such thing as your soul. You are the soul. But we think like, no, we are this body and my soul will do this or go there. And Krishna says, no, just understand that you are the soul. You are the living entity. And you are the one that matters to me, not your body. And that's why Krishna doesn't care if it's a dog's body or a hawk's body or a cockroach's body or a human body. Doesn't care. Doesn't care so much that he'll himself take animal bodies. How many animals he came as from? Just let's count it. Please go ahead, tell me. Sorry?
Kurma avatar.
Kurma avatar, yes. Tortoise.
Matsya.
Matsya, fish. What else?
Vara.
Boar. What else?
Nursing.
Okay, half man, half lion. What else?
Lord Buddha.
Well, that was human form.
Boar.
Boar, yeah, he said that.
Okay.
He become Haygrave.
Haygrave, yes.
He become Haygrave.
Haygrave was what form? Horse.
Yeah.
What else? The gears are going. Swan. What was the reason for the swan form? When actually a demon called Haygrave, as opposed to Krishna as Haygrave, stole the Vedas from Brahma. He came as swan and stole it back and gave it to Brahma. So my point again is that he has come in so many different forms, animal forms. So he doesn't care. To him, it's the same. It's animal body or human body. He's not distinguishing. We are distinguishing. Okay? Any questions or comments? All right, let's go to the next one.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Of course you can.
40. Controlled by love. Krishna becomes obliged to the loving spirit of the devotee and not exactly to the service rendered. No one can serve Krishna completely. He is so complete and self-sufficient that he has no need of any service from the devotee. It is the devotee's attitude of love and affection for Krishna that makes him obliged. A very nice example of this obligatory behavior was manifested when Sudama Vipra went to Krishna's palace. Sudama Vipra had been a class friend of Krishna's, and due to his poverty, he was induced by his wife to see Krishna to request some aid. When Sudama Vipra reached Krishna's palace, Krishna received him very well, and both he and his wife washed the feet of Sudama Vipra, showing respect to the Brahmana. Remembering his loving affairs with Sudama in their childhood, Krishna began to shed tears while receiving him. Another instance of Krishna's obligation to his devotee is described in the 10th canto, 9th chapter, verse 18 of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Shukdev Goswami tells King Parikshit, "My dear king, when Mother Yashoda was perspiring tired of trying to bind Krishna up with the rope, Krishna agreed to allow her to bind him. Krishna, as a child, was disturbing his mother by his naughty activities, and she wanted to bind him up. Mother Yashoda brought some rope from the house and tried to tie up the child, but she could not tie a knot due to the shortness of the rope. She tied together many ropes, but when she finished, still the rope was too short. After a while, she felt very tired and began to perspire. At that time, Krishna agreed to be bound up by his mother. In other words, no one can bind Krishna by any means other than love. He is bound only by obligation to his devotees because of their ecstatic love for him.
Right. Thank you. So, one of the most commonly used terms for Krishna is he's the supreme controller. As Aditi was just chanting 529 from Bhagavad Gita, Bhakta Ram Yajna Tapasam, Sarvalok Maheshwaram. He is the supreme controller of all the planets and everybody living in all those planets. He is also known as Ajit. Anybody knows what Ajit means?
Who cannot be conquered?
Correct. He's known as Ajit, who cannot be conquered, but there are so many examples of him being conquered. But by pure devotees only, is conquered because of their love for him. So let's take some examples. Let's talk about the 6 opulences of Krishna, right? Let's start with strength. At the age of 6 days, he killed Putana, who was actually so big, 12-mile long body. At the age of 3 months, he killed Shaktasur. At the age of 1 year, he killed Trinavarth. And then every day after that, he was killing one demon between breakfast and lunch. That was his regular routine. He killed Aghasur, who was so big that the kids thought, his friends thought that it was a cave. So big that cave was reaching the clouds. That was Aghasur. He killed him. And so many examples, Ashtasur, etc., so many examples where he killed them. So he's very strong. Any demon who tried to show strength, including Kansa. Kansa was considered so strong that he had the strength of 10,000 elephants in each of his arms. And how easily did Krishna kill him? So the point is, Krishna is so strong, you cannot beat him. But all these friends who were, same age or sometimes younger, sometimes a little older, Krishna, they would defeat him in wrestling match. So much so that, and they were sure that they were stronger than Krishna. So much so that when in the arena of Kansa, after Lord Krishna had killed Kansa, and of course Chanur and Mushtik, they were all killed, and the brothers of Krishna were all killed, Shidama, who is the brother of Radharani, was present in the arena at that time. He came down running. And he said to Krishna, "Who are you?" And Krishna said, "What are you talking about? I'm Krishna." And Shidama says, "No way you are Krishna." This now, the whole public is listening. This is all very public. And Krishna says, "Shidama, what are you talking about? I am Krishna, your friend." He says, "No way. My friend Krishna is so weak that I defeat him in wrestling match every time. And you defeated these mountain-sized demons, and Kansa was so strong, there's no way you're Krishna." So Krishna said, "Well, how can I make you believe that I am Krishna?" He said, "Well, the only way is you fight with me. If I defeat you, then you're Krishna. If I don't defeat you, then you're not." So Krishna said, "Okay." So they had a wrestling match right there. Now all these dead bodies are there. Everybody's still sitting there in the arena. And these two boys, Krishna and Shidama, are having a wrestling match. And then Shidama defeats him. And he defeats him, so Krishna is lying on his back flat. Like in Hindi, they say, "Charo khana chit." And Shidama puts his foot on the chest of Krishna and raises his hand like this and says, "Yes, I declare this is Krishna." And he's sitting, lying down there smiling. So again, the unconquered has been conquered by a friend because of his love for him. Let's take logic. Who can defeat Krishna in logic, in debate, in knowledge? There's no way. And he demonstrated that as Lord Chaitanya, when even at the age of 11, he defeated Digvijay Kashmir Pandit, as I was talking about earlier in the class. That same Krishna is standing there as Gopal in Vrindavan. This old Brahmin with a young Brahmin comes in and promises to give his daughter to the young Brahmin. And when they go home, do this very short, brief, very brief. Because of family pressure, the Brahmin declines that I ever made a promise like that. So the young Brahmin says, well, I have witnessed this Krishna. And they say, well, okay, then bring him here. Thinking, deity will never walk. So this young Brahmin goes back to Vrindavan, stands in front of Gopal, and says, you have to be the witness. You come with me to Vidyanagar, where I live, in Bengal. And of course, deity won't speak. So he kept on saying, he said, no, you have to come with me. So finally the deity spoke, Gopal spoke. He says, I'm a deity. How can I walk? The young Brahman said, if you can talk, you can walk. And Krishna had no answer for that. He said, okay, fine. I'll walk with you. And he did 400 kilometers. So defeated in logic. Right? You talk about opulence. So much opulence Krishna has. Wealth, I mean. Duryodhana tried to impress him with his wealth and invited him to lunch, a royal lunch. He said, okay, no problem, I'll come. But on his way to the palace of Duryodhana was the house of Vidura, who had already been thrown out by Duryodhana from the palace. So he's living in a hut. His wife found out from somewhere that Krishna will be passing this way. So he encouraged her husband to go and receive, at least take darshan. And Vidura said, yes, I'm not going to disturb him, but I'll stand in a corner behind a tree and takes darshan. But Krishna knows, Sarvasya Hari Sannivisto. So stopped right in front of the tree on the road, got off, and of course he saw Vidura and offered his obeisances. And Vidura said, would you like to come over to our place? He said, of course. Again, trying to make the story very short, he goes there, there's no place to sit. He sits on the ground with some lipped up mat. And Vidurani, the wife of Vidura, is so ecstatic. What does she feed him?
Banana skin.
Banana peel, yes. And he's taking it, eating it, relishing it. Vidura notices, he tries to stop her from giving the peel. Now, this is the same Krishna who was going to get a royal meal. He's eating banana peel. So Vidura tries to stop her from doing that, at least give her the banana. And he says, no, don't stop her. This is after 2 million years I'm enjoying any fruit so much. Referring to what? What's the 2 million years about? 2 million years ago, he enjoyed the fruits.
Shabri?
Shabri, yes. 2 million years ago, I enjoyed the fruits. Since then, it's the first time I'm enjoying the fruit so much. So once again, opulence doesn't defeat him, but love defeats him. He's happy to eat the banana peel. Okay? So, my point is that many people tried to defeat Krishna in many different ways, but they couldn't. But a devotee, a pure devotee, because of his or her love for him, would easily defeat him. So Krishna is conquered by the love of the pure devotee. Let's take one last example of Mother Yashoda, because it talks about it. I won't talk about Sudama, you all know the story. So much love in her heart for him that she was convinced that if she doesn't provide food to him, he'll become very weak or die. If she does not protect him, he will die. And who was she praying to for his protection? She was praying to Lord Narayan, who's Krishna. And she was praying to the demigods who depend upon Krishna for their survival. But she didn't care. She's just... And Krishna cared so much for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, of whom the fear personified is afraid. Yamraj is afraid, Mahakal is afraid of him. He would be scared when he heard the thundering of the clouds. He'd run to her, grab her by the neck, and start crying. So trembling and all those kind of things. That same Mother Yashoda, when she's churning the milk, the yogurt, I should say, to make butter for him, she's singing his glories. She would make up these songs glorifying the past lives of Krishna. But as she's singing his glories, his breasts are producing milk out of love. And then, of course, again, very briefly explaining this, the pastime, Krishna wakes up, he comes and grabs the churning rod. Why the churning rod? Why not just grab her? Because acharyas say churning of the yogurt is like churning of the Vedas. You churn them, you read them, study them, analyze them, you get a conclusion. And Krishna is saying, stop churning, stop reading these Vedas. Just, I'm here, just take care of me. That's the ultimate. So stops her, she picks him up, puts him on the breast, on her lap, and offers her breast to feed him. Now, acharyas say, Krishna, one of his servants, Agastya Muni, he could drink the whole ocean. One of other servants, Garuda, could drink the whole ocean. So Krishna can drink anything faster than Niagara Falls can come down. So there's no problem, there should be no problem drinking milk from Mother Yashoda's breast. But there's so much milk coming out of her that even he could not swallow it all. So there was all coming out of his mouth. That's the extent of love of her mother. It is said that when she put him down and ran towards the milk, the whole floor, the ground, was wet with her milk because there's so much coming out. Not just her blouse, not just her sari, but the ground was wet. So it is that mother with that kind of love, when she was chasing him, he was actually scared. Kali, you know the story, ran so hard to catch Krishna, and he couldn't. But this middle-aged woman, and kind of, healthy, she could. Why? Because Krishna saw she was getting tired and stopped so she could catch him. And when she caught him, it says in Damodar Ashtakam, Satank Netam, he actually had terror in his eyes. Krishna, of whom all the demons ever in history are completely terrified, he was terrified of his mother. Not mother's love. And he said, Maya mohe mariyo nahi. Throw this stick away. Out of fear. So she did. And then who can bind Krishna? With his ropes of the three modes of material nature, through the agency of Maya, he's got everybody in the material tied up. So who can tie him up? But Mother Yashoda did, because of a pure love for him. So that's the point. Krishna is conquered by the love of God. Ajit is Chit. Actually, Charokhana Chit, when he's dealing with the pure devotees. Okay? Any questions or comments? All right.
Couldn't stop.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Couldn't stop thanking you for such a wonderful explanation.
Sorry about this noise. I couldn't hear.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead.
Sorry, just wanted to thank you much for the explanation.
I'm sorry. I don't know why. Can somebody else hear and just repeat it?
Yeah, Prabhuji, Prabhuji is appreciating the way you are narrating the stories.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. I wasn't trying to repeat you to repeat this, but I just couldn't hear. Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, let's go to the next one.
Prabhuji, can I read it?
Please, of course.
Number 41, all auspicious. A person who is always engaged in auspicious welfare activities for everyone is known as all auspicious. After the disappearance of Lord Krishna from this planet, Uddhava began to remember the activities of the Lord and said, Krishna satisfied all great sages by his wonderful pastimes. He demolished all of the demonic activities of the cruel royal order, protected all pious men, and killed all cruel fighters on the battlefield. Therefore, he is all auspicious for all men. Hare
Right.
Krishna.
So Krishna, Lord Ram, and other incarnations, they were all doing the same thing. The welfare activities for the Brahmins and other humans by killing the demons um, and protecting the devotees as well as, well, devotees includes the Brahmins who are performing fire sacrifices, all the great sages and all that. So the point is that anything he does is auspicious. He's himself all auspiciousness personified. With his pastimes of any kind or his pastimes of fighting with the demons, with his battlefield or otherwise, whatever he's doing is just bringing auspiciousness for all men. His expansion of the expansion, like Lord Nrsimhadeva's expansion. Lord Nrsimhadeva's expansion is Lord Ganesh, and he's worshipped by many people in the world because he brings auspiciousness. So even his expansion, who's actually a Jeev Tattva, can bring auspiciousness. So what about Krishna himself? He brings all auspiciousness to all men. Okay, questions or comments? All right, let's do one last one then. Most powerful, 42.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can go.
Please go ahead, yeah.
42, most powerful. A person who can always put his enemy into calamities is called powerful. When Krishna was present on this planet, just as the powerful sun drives all darkness to take shelter in caves, he drove away all of his enemies who fled like owls to take shelter beyond his sight. Hare Krishna.
Right. So this is one of the 5 opulences of Krishna, the most powerful. And, we discussed this already a little bit, in that so many demons he killed. Actually, as Krishna in Vrindavan, he never used any weapons. Right? He didn't have a bow and arrow, he didn't have a spear, he didn't have any weapons. He didn't use nails either. He did just whatever came naturally, his personal strength. And there were so many very, very powerful demons. They're described, their size is described, their strength is described. When they walked, the earth trembled. Their hump, for example, Shashur touching the clouds. So you can imagine the size. And this Krishna is standing there, especially in the case of Ashtasur, it's described that as Ashtasur was running towards him, Krishna had put his hand on the shoulder of his friend. I think it was Madhumangal. And they just stood there calmly and coolly as Ashtasur was running towards him. When he came very near and tried to hit him, that's when Krishna grabbed him by the horns and threw him very far away. So very powerful. I mean, not easy to do those kind of things, but very powerful. And so many demonstrations of Krishna's power, which is basically strength. It's a very nice example given the sun. So easy as the sun dispels or chases away the darkness. That sun is revolving in its orbit out of fear of Krishna. So the most powerful personality being described here is afraid of Krishna. That's how powerful Krishna is. Okay, and this is one of his opulences. Okay, one more, then we stop. All famous.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please go.
All famous. A person who becomes well known due to his spotless character is called famous. It is stated that the diffusion of Krishna's fame is like the moonshine, which turns darkness into light. In other words, if Krishna consciousness is preached all over the world, the darkness of ignorance and the anxiety of material existence will turn into the whiteness of purity, peacefulness, and prosperity. When the great sage Narada was chanting the glories of the Lord, the bluish line on the neck of Lord Shiva disappeared. Upon seeing this, Gauri, the wife of Lord Shiva, suspected Lord Shiva of being someone else disguised as her husband, and out of fear, she immediately left his company. Upon hearing the chanting of Krishna's name, Lord Balarama saw that his dress has become white, although he was generally accustomed to a bluish dress. And the cowherd girls saw all of the water of the Yamuna river turn into milk, so they began to churn it into butter. In other words, by the spreading of Krishna consciousness or the glories of Krishna, everything becomes white and pure.
Very well. So, first of all, I really appreciated the definition of the word famous. It says, a person who's well known due to his spotless character is famous, as opposed to infamous. What's the definition of infamous? A person who's famous, known for lack of character, right, is infamous. So, a very, very interesting definition. Otherwise, people say, oh, naam ucha hai, therefore he's famous. No, no. That's infamous. It's unless the character is there and it's spotless, no blemish. That's not real famous, that's infamous. So then, so many examples. Actually, until I read in the devotion, I didn't know these particular pastimes. I don't know, maybe you did, but I didn't. Narada Muni chanting the glories of Krishna, and the blue line of Nilkant disappears. And Mother Parvati is so confused, she walks away thinking, oh, somebody else. You know, or Lord Balaram's dress is no longer blue. And he says, what happened? It got bleached somehow. So the holy name has the bleaching power also, I guess. You know, blue becomes white. You know, and what was, let me see, what was the one other example given?
Yamuna's water.
Sorry, Yamuna's water, yeah, turned into milk. I mean, and they're actually churning it to make yogurt. I thought it was so funny that they were doing that. So the point is that that's all a reflection of Krishna's character. It is so pure. It's so pure and therefore purifying that's what makes it famous. And that's why his pastimes are famous. Again, I was reflecting on Damodar Leela, and specifically the whole Damodar Ashtakam this morning. And, you know, when you think about it, a 2.5, 3-year-old boy often gets punished because terrible twos, you know, they're always very naughty. You know, and who talks about that? You know, but Krishna was naughty and got punished 5,000 years ago, and we're still talking about it. And we got a whole month dedicated to that one particular pastime. Every year we celebrate. You know, it must be something very special about it. And of course, that's explained by Satyavat Muni in the very first stanza. Namami Shwaram. That's how it starts. I offer my obeisances to the Lord, Supreme Controller, the Lord. Because this pastime happened with him. That's why it is so famous. So Krishna is famous. Krishna's qualities are famous. Krishna's form is famous. Krishna's pastime is famous. Because of their purity, the spotlessness of all these things that we're talking about. And that's why his holy name is so purifying. Nam Chintamani, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Das Vigraha, Purno Shuddho Nityo Mukto, Abhinatvan Nam Namina. Means the name of the Lord is not different and just as purifying as the Lord, just as liberating as the Lord, just as complete as the Lord, and just as eternal as the Lord. As a matter of fact, the holy name of the Lord is actually considered superior to the Lord because of the number of things it can do that Lord doesn't do. Like the Lord unmanifests his pastimes, but the name remains. It's still manifested to us. Krishna is no longer manifest to us. So things like that. Anyway, the point is, Krishna is spotless, has a spotless character, so does his holy name. That's why both Krishna and his holy name are so famous. 9:30, so we'll stop here. And there's any questions or comments?
Prabhuji, one day you can tell us more stories.
Other what? Sorry?
More stories of Krishna.
Most, oh yeah, sure. Love to.
Yeah.
Love to. Let's just have a pastime day.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. That will be nice. That will be really nice.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the class. It was really, so many stories and so many pastimes. The way you narrated it is very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mother. Thank you for attending. I was mentioning earlier that this is her first day here, and we are very happy to have her. Any other questions or comments?
Prabhuji, one more comment.
Mm-hmm.
So, Prabhuji, whenever we sit in the class, I'm talking about myself right now. I always think of Hanumanji, how to please his teacher, Surya Dev, he chose to stay with Sugriv, who was less capable and all, right? Even I feel, whenever you teach us, and a person like me, nothing goes in my brain. I feel, you put so much of your time and efforts, just like Hanumanji did with Sugriv, So we are very grateful, Prabhu.
Thank you. You're very humble. I know you're one of the smartest people I know. And for those who don't know, she gives so many classes every Saturday and Sunday. I don't know, more than 100 people, I think, in different classes, teaching them Ramayana, she's teaching Krishna Katha, and different scriptures. And here she is being so humble, saying nothing goes in her brain. So sorry, I'm going to release the secret of your personality, Aditi, and let everyone know how great you are.
And thank you, Prabhuji, so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
And थोड़ा सा काला टीका लगा लिया करो.
Mother, you are blessing me. I don't need Kala Tika. Your blessing is Kala Tika for me. Thank you so much. She is the best, I'm telling you. Just a wonderful, wonderful devotee.
नहीं गुरु सारे इतनी तारीफ करते हैं तो वो फिर लगता है.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Your blessings are very important to me, Mother.
Always.
Thank you. Thank you.
Prabhuji, we always
Yogesha Prabhu, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we always relish the way you narrate these stories, as Mother Aditi mentioned. Yeah, I mean, they really sink in. So we just want to hear and take this nectar on and on. We don't care about 9:30, Prabhuji. Like, I know this is the physical, like the timing stopping here, the clock stopping here, but if we want to hear, we'll just keep on hearing all these.
Sure. Thank you. Actually, you will find that the next 20 qualities that we have not talked about, they all have pastimes. So we'll have a lot of opportunity to hear the pastimes of Krishna. And as you say, there's so many unlimited pastimes. Krishna says, even I don't know the limit of my qualities and therefore my pastimes. And we know that Lord Balaram, as in the form of Sheshnag, has been chanting the glories of Lord Krishna with his million mouths since the time immemorial, and it's not done yet, and he'll never be done because they're always expanding. So we don't have to worry about time. Yeah, we can always think of one or the other pastime related to one of his qualities. But thank you for expressing that. Okay, we can stop here. Thank you very much. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyeva patanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. All Vaishnav Janan ki jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.